Hey, this is of course the great and glorious, soon to be famous one day Nick Dutch, back on the camera again one more time, responding to a private message. I like private messages, you can send them through if you want, that's absolutely fine, absolutely great. This one says, just wanted to thank you for posting so much great material. I love your open-mindedness and refusal to accept traditional explanations for strange occurrences. I've only just discovered your videos, but if you haven't already, I'd love to see a video kind of summarizing your thoughts about where you feel you are as a mage presently. What sorts of insights have you learned? Do you feel more powerful? Are you satisfied with your progress? Have your motives and philosophies changed from the time you started? Okay, all very good questions. I think that these require, going into. Okay, let's deal with the first one. What sort of insights have you learned? Well, people believe stuff. Okay, that's the first thing. The majority of the New Age movement, the occult movement, pagan movements, and all the rest of that is based upon popular quality books. And popular quality books and popular quality paradigms are not substantive. They do not go into the subjects in great detail. They're not there to challenge views. Okay, they can often be written in a very seemingly liberal way, but with a strong conservative bias, as a lot of people are in general. But they're not going to challenge ideas. They're going to say it's perfectly okay for you to believe whatever you want, that's fine. But they're not going to actually go through either an intellectual or a practical scientific investigation. I mean, what if this paradigm of chi energy is not correct? What if this paradigm of the existence of spirits is not correct? What if spirits can't do all these things? Okay, what about these things that you're afraid of that spirits could possibly be doing? What if they can't do that? What can they do? Can we try and experiment and explore in a great way? Instead, they're creating new traditional beliefs or rebroadcasting older traditional beliefs, or creating new mythologies and indeed new religions. Even ufology has become a kind of a religion in some quarters. If they want to have that as a religion, then fine, but it's not scientific. Okay, it is intensely ironic that Aleister Crowley's definition of magic, which includes the word science, is so heavily believed in by members of the occult and New Age fraternity, but none of them have actually tried to learn to think anywhere near like a scientist, so that basically dismisses them quite a lot, because they're not trying to go into their own subjects in the way in which even Aleister Crowley, that man who took enough heroin to kill 10 men, was into like tons of weird, sick things, was trying to persuade people to do and to think. So the movement is substandard. I've been hoping to and trying to raise the movement up to a slightly better level through talking to people like you out there who would be, engaging with these books, engaging with these authors, and in the hope that there can be some people out there who will try and steer this movement in the right direction, whether it's in Britain, whether it's in America, Australia, wherever. Do I feel more powerful? No, I feel less powerful. When I first got into this movement, I obviously had some very specific goals. I had some health problems which were incurable in accordance with medical science at the time. There were all these wonderful people out there who said they could do this amazing thing. It was supernatural. It was so powerful. People were terrified of it. And it works. So obviously I wanted to try and find out what this thing was and try and learn to use this to heal myself and cure myself of my health problems. And hey presto, it didn't work. Which is obviously very upsetting. Okay, but it does demonstrate something about the way in which these people think, the way in which these people communicate, the effect it can have upon someone who has needs. Alright, this is why I want to try and remove the aspect of, oh my god, you're sick or you're in pain or you got this kind of emotional pain, what you need is the occultism. No, I don't want you to think like that. I seriously don't want you to think like that. I don't want anybody to think like that. And I want to try and give a rebirth to the idea of thinking like a scientist when trying to deal with these allegedly strange experiences, which, in my humble opinion, is essential if there is going to be any research done into this phenomena in a serious way for human benefit. Yes, I would say there is some kind of benefit for human health, human cognition, human communication, and all that kind of stuff. But you've got to dig really, really deeply to try and get there. And it's not a question of waving your magic wand in your circle of candles and pentagrams, and then, hey presto, bam, you know, the whole universe changes itself somehow, yes, and then, yes, then it works, yes, and then it works, yes. Because basically that's a load of bollocks dreamt of by people who are thick. I mean, it is just like going to university, you know. You come out of it realizing that no matter how many books you've read, no matter how many essays you've written, okay, no matter how many classes and lectures you've been to, you're a drop in the ocean, you're nothing, okay? And the information you've got is nothing. The wisdom you've gained is just scratching the surface. So that's why things such like getting a good education is essential, because it gives you perspective. Okay, and it stops you from having as much devout belief in yourself. Because, you know, believing in yourself is okay under some circumstances, but not always. If you believe in yourself and you're wrong, then essentially you could be causing a lot of problems for yourself and other people. So it's believing in yourself is dangerous. Having doubt is actually more important. Doubt and guilt are very essential emotions and perspectives to have. Are you satisfied with your progress so far? Well, there's lots of things I would like to be able to do which I haven't been able to achieve. But I'm not quite sure if I care. Okay, because I'm exploring and experimenting, and I'm investigating intellectually complex ideas which other people regard as being pillars of faith, which need to be challenged if there is going to be any form of intellectual progress in these fields. Have my motives or philosophies changed from the time you started? Well, the vast majority of occultism and spiritualism is actually Christian-based, so I might as well just start going to church. That's one of the things that's changed for a start off. And I don't feel any animosity against any other particular religious group, which is another thing which has changed quite dramatically. I just see the mess which is within the New Age, occult and pagan movements, and I realize that this is not just exclusive to the movement, it's also exclusive to humanity, and therefore there's an even greater reason why this kind of idea of trying to think like a scientist please is essential. And so if I can just do it for this one group, then maybe someone else can do it for another group, and so on and so forth. You know, thinking, breaking down ideas, and doing so in a manner which is structured and intelligent is a skill. It's like learning how to juggle, for instance. That's a skill which requires mental and physical control. Right? Thinking itself is a skill. Being someone who's good at meditation won't turn you into someone who can think. Some people say, well, the reason I'm doing meditation is to stimulate my brain. Yeah, well, getting yourself some evening classes would probably stimulate your brain in a better way. Meditation can help to bring about a state of calm, or possibly can help to remove stress or reduce stress. But it can't, and I mean can't, turn you into someone with a good IQ. Okay, some people say that they've got a good IQ, but that's actually rubbish, because they may have done the Mensa tests, but the tests to get into Mensa, which is the Organization for Incredibly Intelligent People, they would tend to take many hours over rather than do it within the time limit which is set by Mensa. And so they've probably got a skewed interpretation of how bright they are. They probably say, oh, I've got an IQ of 160. It took me 4 days for me to complete the Mensa test, though. You're supposed to do it in 5 fucking minutes, I mean, shit. Do I despair more of humanity? Well, yeah, I do, because these popular quality ideas are too heavily out there. And that's scary. That really is scary. I remember during the time when I wasn't very well, and I was like doing my incredibly long hours and wasn't sleeping and all the rest of that, you do start believing these popular quality ideas if your brain isn't working too well, because you're physically unwell. So lots of physically unwell people and mentally unwell people who will end up being or becoming puppets for various forms of political ideology out there, which is undesirable. Alright, that's why I'm glad to consider myself to be a practicing deist, firstly and foremost, but also a form of Christian spiritualist, stroke, occultist, stroke, whatever the fuck it is I choose to see fit at that time, kind of person. I would say there's a lot of danger in the pagan movement and the occult movement, because there's a lot of sick thinking and there's lots of sick people who just want to feel comfortable rather than want to try and come closer to the truth. And these are people who could, at a moment's notice, well, I'll leave that to your own imagination. Look after yourself, stay sane, don't go crazy. God bless.